Yesterday, we lit the first candle on the Advent wreath. Like most churches, we call it the candle of hope, reminding us of the hope we have for the coming of the Messiah. Not only do we remember the hope of those who waited for the Messiah originally, we also focus on our hope for the Messiah's return. The first candle reminds us that Advent is all about hope. Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas, and this is your daily devotional from Monday, November 28th, 2022. If you've listened to enough of my daily devotionals, you'll recognize that one of my all-time favorite movies is The Shawshank Redemption, based on the Stephen King novella Rita, Hayworth, and Shawshank Redemption. It is one of those rare movies that is faithful to the original story on which it's based. With a very few exceptions, whole pieces of dialogue come right from Stephen King's pen. The story centers on a pair of prison convicts, Red, a longtime prisoner who is resigned to his fate, and Andy, a former banker wrongly convicted for his wife's murder who has hope for his future. While we pay closest attention to Andy, the story is really all about Red. The entire story is narrated by Red, so even though he talks about Andy, it really is a story about Red's change from a hopeless man resigned to his fate to a man who has learned the importance and power of hope. The climax of the movie, the story, comes when Andy, who has secretly planned his escape for many years, finally makes it out. But before he makes his escape, he tells Red that when he is finally paroled, to go to a little New England town and find a particular oak tree in a particular hayfield. There, buried at the base of a stone wall under the tree, he's to search until he finds what Andy has promised to leave for him. When Red finally makes parole, he follows Andy's instruction, and he does. He finds a note to him from Andy, along with enough cash to buy himself a bus ticket from Maine to Mexico, where he will find Andy in the sleepy coastal town of Zihuatanejo. Now, in his final criminal act, Red breaks parole, boards a bus, and flees to Mexico, where he hopes to find Andy. The story ends with this beautiful, almost poetic piece of monologue. Red says, "I find I am excited, so excited I can hardly hold this pencil in my trembling hand. I think it is the excitement that only a free man can feel, a free man starting a long journey whose conclusion is uncertain. I hope Andy is down there. I hope I can make it across the border. I hope to see my friend and shake his hand. I hope the Pacific is as blue as it has been in my dreams. I hope." Stephen King's words beautifully capture the essence of hope. It's not just about waiting for something to happen. Hope also changes us, strengthens us. Hope gives us the will to carry on with life, even when in this life we experience tragedy and disappointment. Hope puts all these experiences into proper perspective, tempers them, renders them less forbidding, less debilitating, less soul-crushing. The Apostle Paul captures this well in his letter to the Romans when he says, "I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory about to be revealed to us. For the creation waits with eager longing for the revealing of the children of God. For the creation was subjected to futility, not of its own will, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that the creation itself will be set free from its bondage to decay and will obtain the freedom of the glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning in labor pains until now, and not only the creation, but we ourselves, who have the first fruits of the Spirit, groan inwardly while we await for adoption, the redemption of our bodies. For in hope we were saved." Now, hope that is seen is not hope, for who hopes for what is seen? But if we hope for what we do not see, we wait for it with patience. Paul was no stranger to suffering and hardship, no stranger to disappointment and dreams delayed. Yet in spite of all he endured, he maintained hope. Advent is about hope. Hope for the Messiah's return. Hope for a world restored. Hope for a time when God will set things right at long last. And in spite of all that life can do to discourage us, we can say with read in the last sentence of Stephen King's novella and movie, I hope. And now may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do, this day and in all the days ahead.